Get here.
Yeah. No, I don't like sitting in the middle. I'm nervous. So panic switch down here? I don't know if that panic switch works.
Absolutely, please.
It's Lexington.
What you need to
Lexington.
do.
It's
We're
there,
gonna see
but
what the
he's
response
picking up
is.
the entire screen.
Well, you know, somewhere I thought there was one.
Oh, my God.
Oh, there he
I
is.
gotta tell you.
Yeah. Did you ever hit it?
Yeah.
Was it
I
disconnected?
didn't even know it existed.
What is that?
Okay,
Oh,
Darren, you're looking for Zoom.
oh, under the table?
Oh.
I don't know. I'm not
Okay.
hit, but it's there.
Nice. It's pretty nice. Definitely an upgrade.
Something Janie was wanting to do.
But the
We're just waiting just a moment for
Lost Chuck.
council members to get settled after our field trip.
BV speeches and parade was pretty interesting to see. Yeah. That was something.
Good evening. It is 7:04. And I want to welcome everyone to council meeting this evening. And before I go any further, I would like to read some comments regarding tonight's meeting. These are the comments that we read prior to every meeting so that we know, everybody knows how we operate and manage a meeting. Please be reminded that public comments are always welcome, and we invite you to sign up on the sign up sheet over there to my right. And if you wish to speak this evening, I'll recognize those who do sign up during the citizens' remarks section of our agenda, which is number 8, I believe, on the city council agenda. And during this agenda item, you're asked that these guidelines be followed. Number 1, once you are recognized to speak, please come forward at the podium and on the record, state your name and if you are a resident of Lexington, Virginia. If you want to be contacted after our meeting, please provide your contact information to our clerk. Number 2, please make your comments to the council as a whole and do not engage the audience. We ask that you please be brief to state your position and provide facts. Please provide written statements and supporting materials to the clerk for distribution to the council and the city manager, and debate is prohibited. This is a time for you to share your thoughts and ideas with the city council. And 3, and last, please speak clearly as we want to hear what you have to say. The council allots at least a 3-minute allotment time to each speaker, and individuals may not yield their allotment time to another person. If you represent a group, you're allotted 5 minutes and you're invited to identify other members of your group who are in attendance. And I'll remind all of us that the meetings of the city council are formal proceedings and are recorded. And with that, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And our first item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would all please stand to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We do have an absence here today. The mayor is not with us this evening. He's out enjoying his life. And City Attorney Jerry McCarroll is with us remotely. So we are ready to move forward on our agenda. And in consideration of the agenda, I'm not aware of any changes, but if there are no objections, we'll approve the agenda. Sure, okay. There are no objections, and so it is approved, and we shall move on to presentations because we do not have any proclamations to deliver this evening. So I'm happy to invite our interim police chief, Panabianco, to the podium. And Tom, if you would do the honors to introduce our new staff person.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Just wanted to welcome Chief AJ Panbianco to the city of Lexington and present him to City Council and the community. He will be the acting police chief until we hire the next police chief. And he brings more than 35 years of law enforcement experience to the position, including many years of service to the city of Buena Vista, to our south, where he was the chief of police, and he has retired in 2023 from the city of Middleburg, Virginia. He's the author of 3 books, including one that I'm enjoying presently. And one is that's not the children's book, although that's probably more appropriate for my reading level. But he's serving with us, as I said, until we hire a replacement for Chief Green, who was in town, as you know, on Monday in her new role. So I just wanted to introduce him tonight, let him say a few things, and after he finishes, I've informed him that he's welcome to leave for the rest of the evening, since he has an hour's drive ahead of him this evening.
Thank you.
Well, I'm AJ. I go by Chief AJ or AJ. My last name's Panbianco. It makes it a little difficult to try and introduce you by your, with your last name. But I try to keep it informal. So I prefer to be called AJ or Chief AJ, and I'm not hung up on the chief title. So it could just be AJ. I accepted this position pretty eagerly because it's such a great opportunity for somebody to land in Lexington who wants to be here. And because I've been in the business for 35 years, I know many of the chiefs and many of the people who may be qualified for a chief. So I'm marketing the town as much as I can, or the city as much as I can right now, and only to people that I trust. So my goal is not to come in and make sweeping changes. My goal is to come in and more or less manage the police department. 1, because code requires you to have a chief, and 2, because having somebody at the helm who's not planning to be in the job helps to keep things kind of above board, as I see it. And we're initiating a few little changes to some of the operations that make sense, but nothing major should be changed under and if it is something that's just glaring at me, I would go to city manager and say, hey, this is a big problem. What do you want to do? So that's my goal. I don't know if you guys have any questions. If you do, I'd be certainly happy to try and answer them. And if not, like I say, I appreciate you guys having the confidence in me. I appreciate the town city manager. I will tell you, his dedication and the zeal that he showed me in just discussing what he wants for the police department gave me the confidence to say, I want to be here, because I didn't want to come somewhere where they were just willy-nilly about it. And he has showed me a passion that he really wants this police department to be successful. So that, to be honest, he's the reason I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Comments?
Yeah, just to say thank you, sir, for being here and willing to serve and help keep Lexington the safe, wonderful place that it is.
A beautiful city. This is going to make a great post for somebody. And, the trick is to find that person who wants to be in Lexington. And it's an amazing opportunity. It really is.
Anyone else?
Thank
you. I just wanted to let you know that I think that being an interim in any department, no matter where you go, it's no easy task to take on the temporary role, trying to exhibit your expectations with employees while they are mourning the loss of their previous leader. And they're also nervously wondering what's going to happen with the next leader, and who they're going to get. And you have to have a special skill set to manage that. And we appreciate you bringing your expertise here to help calm the waters as the transition takes place.
Thank you. And I think part of the strength that I bring to the position, I know all of the players in the surrounding communities.
Correct.
I met the director of safety at WNL today, so now I know him.
Okay.
So it will be a very good transition there. Excited about staff. The staff seem, some of them know me, know of me.
Mhm.
So there's a little bit of a pep in the step right now. And they also know that I have been friends and still friends with your previous chief, who I call Angela.
Mhm.
I call her Chief Green, but I call her Angela because we're friends. So I'm aware of her operations, so I don't have to come in here. I'm not cleaning house because it wasn't messy.
Right. I think you'll find that the partnerships that you will have in the community will be very rewarding and beneficial for the whole community.
Excited for the position while I have it. Super excited for whoever steps in behind me because, I mean, you have what I see as a go-to city to be a chief. This is one of the top cities in Virginia, I believe, chief. Everything you have to offer, the vibrant community, the 2 universities, a hospital people want to have access to healthcare when they relocate. If they relocate, you may find somebody local. But all of that just shouts, move here, be the chief.
Well, just to let you know that this area tends to let you know when we expect to have the new opening filled, but sometimes we take our time a little longer. So just want to warn you about that.
Like I say, I'm here as long as Mr. Carroll and you guys approve that, but I work directly for Mr. Carroll. And I'm excited to work with him. So far, what I've seen from him is been, man, one of the better interactions I've had with.
Absolutely. No doubt. No doubt. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next presenter this evening is our Finance Director, Jennifer Bell, and she is going to talk with us about where we're landing with our 2025 budget and moving forward in our 2026 budget, managing all of that and what is happening locally versus what's happening on the national scene.
That's a tall order.
You can do it. I know you do. I know you can.
Thank you. See if I can fix this.
Will you slide the mic up close to you just so that it records and projects?
Thank you. I'm just trying to make it bigger for everybody and there we go. All right. Good evening. Thank you. So right now I am finalizing the year-end entries for FY25, and the auditors will be performing their field work starting on Monday. In the meantime, I do see that we will have a healthy surplus at the end of FY25. And for anybody who remembers, I will be buying Tom lunch. Our over-under was 564,000 and we will be over that. In fact, the projected surplus is nearing 7 figures. So the contributing factors to this surplus.
You say 7 figures?
Looking at our slide here, you'll see that interest earnings beat budget by 292,000. Our fire and rescue joint services agreement was over budget 137,000. And that's the payment we charge to the county for calls that our fire department answers in their region. The revenue sharing payment was also above budget at 125,000, and building permits were ahead of budget by 104,000. On the expense side, our overall expenses were about 2% under budget, which gives us a savings of 362,000. So we add those together and we're looking all right.
That's very good budgeting, especially on the expenses to be within 2%.
Yeah, we have a great team. Everybody really pays attention to their budgets. So these are high level figures. They're not yet final. They may change. I have a few remaining entries and like a quadruple check. And then, of course, the auditors will review everything as well. So if you recall, at our February meeting, we had projected a shortfall on the City Hall project of $743,000. At that meeting, council agreed to go ahead and move forward with the project anyway, because we had offered solutions where we could find that money without having to do any additional borrowing and hopefully without having to dip into fund balance. So we can clearly see that council made a smart decision, and the 25 surplus will be sufficient to close that gap. FY26 may not be as rosy due to economic uncertainty and things we're already seeing, such as sales tax collections are down 4.1% over this time last year. Meals tax collections are marginally ahead of FY25 at just 0.4% above. And lodging tax collections are down 30% from this time last year. We are watching this closely with our watchful waiting to see, is it just a delay in timing of the payments? Or are we, being affected by some other factor, like the county's new hotels?
How many months have, let's say the lodging, for instance, how many months has lodging dropped? Does that make sense?
It does. And the big drops that I noticed were these first 2 months of this fiscal year.
Okay.
I'll go back and check. In FY25, I don't think we had many months that were lower than the previous year. So it seems to be a new problem for us. New-ish. And then interest earnings. We had budgeted for a 4% return on our treasury. I'm sorry. But for the past several months, there's been a lot of talk about reducing interest rates, and that's been happening for probably more than a year. And rates have moved not very much. However, that could change. We just never know what the future holds. So in watching the budget and economic uncertainty, Tom and I think it's prudent to try to cut back on our spending in FY26, and it's not a cut at this point. We're proposing some budget freezes that we will revisit as the year moves along. Definitely in January, but sooner if warranted, and more often if warranted. What we are proposing, we've identified approximately $500,000 we think we can freeze. So first, we would delay the purchase of approximately $230,000 in vehicles and equipment. The general fund was budgeted to support the equipment fund with $200,000. So the general fund will not make that contribution just yet. We also are proposing to delay the planned work in Jordan's Point Park, which was scheduled for $100,000 this year. We will have some expenses there. A few things were already started, but I've spoken with Patrick Madigan, and he agrees that we'll just put a hold on that for now. And then we have asked each of our 3 largest cost centers, Public Works, Fire Department, and Police Department, to look at their budgets and provide us with areas where they think they could freeze $33,000 each. So that's where we see some freezes. We've also had a few unexpected savings already in the year. First of all, there was the health insurance and the way we changed the contribution percentages and really educated our staff on the different plans. We actually saw an overall savings in the neighborhood of 100,000. We're going to end up with 29,000 approximately in the general fund. And then we also had savings in the utility fund and central dispatch had a large savings as well. Lastly, our transient occupancy tax, the extra 1% that was previously sent to the horse center will now be a net positive for us, because we are going to use that money to fund Main Street Lexington, but we already had budgeted to pay that $96,000 this year anyway. So all told, right around 500,000 is what we're proposing to hold on or save.
So just to real quick, so the 61,000 is because we're funding with a transient occupancy tax, that's 61,000 that we don't. Could you explain that again?
Sure, no problem. So the transient occupancy tax, that 1%,
Yeah.
that was what we contributed to the horse center, and we had them capped at 61,000. So now the city will receive that full 61,000, and money is fungible. So, you know, I can say that 61,000 now will go to Main Street Lexington, and then that will free up 61,000 that we had budgeted to give Main Street for the general fund.
Makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jen, I'm sorry. For the savings from the Public Works, Fire Department and police, do you expect those to be in capital expenses or freezing open positions, or are you leaving it up to them to figure it out?
We're leaving it up to them. And we did request that they not count vacancy savings as part of that 33,000. Because honestly, with our search for a new police chief and some other expenditures we've had already, we think we'll need to use vacancy savings to cover those. And yes, so I'm not sure, but I mean, if they're unable to come up with anything, Tom and I will look at the budgets as well and propose things.
Delay of the purchase in vehicles and equipment, is the whole timeline being shifted over a year, or is it just this 1 year that's going to get piled on to 26?
Well, we're still hoping that things won't be as bad as we are possibly anticipating, and that we could purchase these vehicles in FY 26. However, if we don't, then yes, those would get pushed out to FY 27, and we may have to delay other vehicles scheduled for 27.
What vehicles are they?
They are the public works vehicles and one of the police vehicles.
Okay.
So essentially the only vehicles we will purchase, there's one new police vehicle, the school bus, and then what was the other one?
From
Greg?
the utility fund,
Oh,
we're
thank
buying
you.
a
Yes.
backhoe and another pickup truck, I believe, but those are paid for from the utility fund, so that's not part of this freeze. That's not impacted by it. So I think we're gonna make those orders on some vehicles that are not frozen and hold off on those that are for the next 4 months and then reevaluate.
So we are going to buy the school van.
Would-
Yes, we had approved them to order that
Yeah, yeah.
already.
Yeah, good.
However, Tom and I met with Rebecca Walters and Aaron Gregg earlier today, and they had a surplus in FY 25 such that they are going to propose to their board that they actually reimburse us for the cost of the bus.
Wow.
So that'll be an extra 100,000 coming back to us. That being said, there's also talk about increased costs at the high school. So we may not have it for long.
So if things start looking up, as Councilmember Smith was speaking of, do you think that all of those items, those 3 items, not only the vehicles and but what about the planned work at Jordan's Point? Would we go back to get those things done too, or push those?
As many as we could, and specifically the work with the park, I think it would just depend on the season and what we could accomplish at that point. But we would definitely prefer to be able to go back and lift the freezes.
Is there an anticipated time within FY 26 that you would revisit that, or is there a certain mark in the year that you would?
So Tom and I have discussed that we would revisit just after the new year. But if something drastic happens in between now and then, we would of course discuss it sooner.
If I may just add, part of the budget discussion that we had in March and April, as we were reviewing the FY 26 budget was, and I think council challenged us to have early warning signs of any fiscal problems that we have. And so there are storm clouds. I don't think this is cause for concern. This is a hit pause, not a hit stop. This is a watchful waiting, not a sky is falling situation. But I think what we're trying to do is take some prudent measures now and revisit this in 3 or 4 months, because we can't unspend the money once we've made a commitment. So this is, I think, a very careful, measured approach, simply to make sure that we're trying to live within our budget as council would expect.
And that, I was just gonna completely say, thank you for, not that you got the message, we didn't have to, but that we did raise those concerns back in March and April. And quite honestly, the fact that we're asking Public Works, the fire department and the police department to do that, that's a good exercise. It has been multiple years. Things have been pretty good coming out of COVID, even during COVID. Fire and rescue and police, a lot of their expenses, their personnel, I mean, they didn't suffer greatly because we had CARES Act funds and ARPA funds. And sometimes it's good to just closely evaluate your budget and be challenged to find those savings. And the fact that it's month number 2, month number 3 of the fiscal year, thanks, Jen, thanks, Tom, thanks to the department heads for doing this, because we don't want to be doing this in January or February. So I think it's what the public would expect from us also.
Quite
Thank you.
prudent.
And the items that we've identified, we don't believe those will impact at all the day-to-day services that we offer the citizens.
And going back to the surplus that we have, that was a classic case of easy come, easy go. Because
Yes, it was.
of the needs at the construction at City Hall. Do you think that much of that surplus is coming from interest income, or
I
where?
do. And then it was a surprise to me that the fire and rescue settlement was larger this year. We'd been running in the 700,000s, and I think it was 860,000 this year. So, but the county was expecting it. I had actually given them a higher number than that for their budgeting purposes. So I don't think that we should have any problems.
Thank you.
Just
Anything
one
else?
other thing to add, if I may. Thank you, Jen. We're working on a report that will spell out some of those health insurance savings, because there's a lot more moving parts. I think Jen has given you a netted figure of 29,000 in savings to the general fund. She mentioned that there are savings to dispatch, for whom we're the fiscal agent, but also for the utility funds. The city of Lexington's organizational savings were greater, but the Lexington City School District's expenditures were greater as well. And so we're going to share that with both the board as well as council, so you can see how those interrelate and move. But the net figure is the one that Jen gave you. That report, I think, will probably be in your next packet or in early October, in anticipation of that joint meeting with the school board.
Anyone else? Questions? Jen, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
expertise, yours as well as our city manager and all the other staff that you have, keeping our finances safe and in good hands.
Thank you. And it really is an entire team effort.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, I am so pleased tonight to announce that we do not have any public hearings, and we can move on to the consideration of minutes. We have August 7th and August 21st minutes regarding the work session about Morris Creek in our packets. And unless there are any objections, are there any in regard to the minutes? Then we can move forward with approving those minutes. And the next item on the agenda would be for citizens to remark. And the last time I checked, we didn't have anyone sign up for remarks, but is there anyone with us tonight that would like to speak to us about any urgent issues you may have? No? Okay. Okay. So we'll close that portion of the meeting and move on to our consent agenda. And we have 2 street closures for consideration on the consent agenda. And I'd like council's consideration of these.
Should approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. There's no discussion when we have a consent agenda. So we'll have a roll call vote. Ms. Strawn?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Sigler?
Aye.
Mr. Driscoll?
Aye.
Mr. Betts, and I vote aye. So the motion carries unanimously to approve the consent agenda. Thank you. And I'm not aware of any unfinished business. We don't have any items listed here right now as a placeholder or a reminder. So we can move on to reports and communications. And first would be Chuck Smith from the Blue Ridge
Resource Authority.
Authority.
No report.
Thank you. Main Street, Lexington.
Main Street, Lexington. Few notes to consider. Main Street is having a downtown bar crawl on October 11th. I don't know all the details right now, but when I get them, I'll send them along. Downtown had a great response to the Get Downtown tour for the incoming freshmen at Washington and Lee. I think last meeting, new board members were mentioned but not acknowledged by name, and they are Mark Reed, who we all know. Rebecca Logan, former director, is now on the board to lead the charge in some of the project that she's been working on, more specifically the Courthouse Square project. Ellie Bunton is manager at Walkabout. Cliff West, longstanding member of faculty at VMI. And Scott Beliveau, who is also at VMI, serving with the Alumni Association. And that's all I have. Oh, one more thing. Jeremy Franklin, our Main Street director, was featured on WDBJ7. If you haven't had a chance to look at that, please do. I did a search for it on WDBJ7 and had a little trouble finding it, but I do have the link and I'll be sure and distribute that to council. That's all I have.
Did a fine job.
Yeah, he's good at that.
Planning Commission, Ms. Strong.
Last week, the Planning Commission held an open house for the comprehensive plan 5-year review update. And I believe several of y'all were at that open house, and it is one of several public meetings we'll have to get input on our comprehensive plan. So if people are interested in making any comments on it's again, a 5-year review of our existing plan. Probably will not be a major update unless we get a lot of comments from people, and so far we haven't, but there'll be other opportunities to comment. There is also a survey that is live right now, and you can access it through the city newsletter and on the website to give input on our comprehensive plan. And Planning Commission met for our regular meeting last Thursday, August 28th. First item of business was we have a new administrative specialist, and that's Brinsley Ledbetter. She'll be working with our planning department. So we welcome Brinsley. And we had 3 items of business. 2 of them were reviewing sections of the comprehensive plan as part of our 5-year review. And then we also had addressed the request from the Gin Hotel to amend our zoning ordinance to allow internally lit canopy signs. and the applicant was there, which was helpful. We still, they didn't have some information from the vendor about the sign describing specifically what type of channel letters they were. So we're still looking for some more information before we can finalize a zoning ordinance amendment. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Leslie? Did y'all have any questions for Chuck for MSO? Okay. Thank you to both of you. Regional Tourism Board, Nick Betts.
No report.
Thank you, sir. Raro.
The RARO Board of Directors met yesterday. Our executive director shared with us kind of a closeout and final report for FY 25. Talking about dollars and cents, we have approximately a $700,000 budget. And if you recall, at the beginning of the fiscal year, we had kind of shared with you all that instead of hiring 2 part-time employees, due to some staffing issues, we wanted to hire 1 full-time employee, but that would, of course, cost more. And instead of asking for an amended budget, we just kind of forecast and said, foreshadowed that we think we're going to be over budget by $19,500. And so fast forward to the conclusion of FY 25, and we're actually going to be over budget by only about $10,000, which again, in a $700,000 budget, I think that's a good testament to Chad Coffey and the whole staff. And it's really working out well with that full-time employee that's helping us with our facility. So we thank the municipalities for their support because they are the entities that fund RARO. What you get in return for that money is phenomenal. Part of his closeout report shows that in total, we had about 2,435 individuals, not individuals, but citizens participate in our programs. And why I qualify that is if a young person plays soccer in the fall and they play basketball in the winter and softball in the spring, that person would count 3 times because they're a participant in 3 of our programs. And so that's how we count. That's how we allocate the formula when we go back for funding from the localities. But this was by far the largest year ever. The breakdown of that was 1,852 youth and 543 adults. And if you go back just about a few years, the number of adults participating was probably less than 30 because we only had that pickup basketball. And so that is, again, a testament to the staff that is offering pickleball and softball and futsal and all these other offerings that adults are now enjoying. And we're proud of RARO offering that to the community. Also in the highlight report that Chad Coffey put forward was, quite honestly, the city of Lexington and the upgrades that the city made to Brubaker Field and Fox Field. We just feel so blessed that the city of Lexington and this council put those dollars into Fox Field and Brubaker. And it's why our tournament was so successful. But if you go look at Fox Field right now with the lights and the backstop and the fencing, the scoreboard, it looks awesome. And we just ordered a new scoreboard that will also go now at Brubaker. So both of our diamonds will have scoreboards. And so we thank the community for those donations, and we thank the city for the upgrades to the facilities. As far as just the regular business of RARO, we are going to be launching our new online registration website for in October. And so instead of folks coming in and doing paper forms and so on, everyone will be doing it online. And that allows RARO to have a better access to data, lists, and for individuals to know that they did their registration. They get confirmation emails, and it means that we're not trying to interpret people when they use not that people have bad handwriting, but their email addresses or ages of children or birth dates. It will be on the families to correctly enter that information, and then we'll have it in a database. So things are doing very well at RARO, but we just want to continue to say thank you to the municipalities for your financial support. And we think that we're returning that in opportunities for the citizens. And we thank you for your support.
Well, I know that every parent who has a child in RARO thanks you all.
Thank you.
Much appreciated to spend that level of time to give children that extra level of learning and experience and teamship and all of that.
As you know, it's also due to the parents of our participants because they serve as the coaches. And so in a typical fall, like right now, I think we have 268 kids playing soccer. They all need coaches. We have 110 kids cheering. Last fall, we had 89. So that's a big growth in cheer. They need coaches. And so it's just the kids enjoy it, but the parents also step forward and volunteer. So it's great.
Good deal.
I wanted to say that the fencing upgrade at Brubaker has been a amazing transformation of that facility. That's besides the fields, the fencing is like first thing you see. And it was looking a little sad. So that new fencing is such a mental uplift for everybody that participates there. So that's
John, did you
great
have a
addition.
David, is that report available to the public, or how is it distributed, the year end or?
I just shared it, but I can email it to you. It was for the board of directors
To
and,
the board, okay,
Mhm.
so it's not meant to be. No,
Well,
because it's very.
I mean, RARO is a front-facing organization. I mean, we're obviously the ones that are putting out the crew playbook. The third edition came out yesterday in the News Gazette, that we published that. But I mean, any of this information I'm happy to share if anyone has any questions. But
Very impressive, and it's part of helping people understand the breadth of activities that are available.
it's we've got a good staff. We have a very good staff and good support from the city.
Any more questions for David? And we'll move on to threshold. And we had our last meeting on August 27th, where we talked about the EDA, and we will get input from them about the payment process of our application process. For example, needing IDA for final payments to contractors for the work that's been performed. So if we're going to utilize the services of EDA, we certainly want their input on the process. So we will make that happen, especially before the final draft of the entire process, getting their guidance on those matters. And we also worked on the application itself and the questions and how to format those. And in reviewing the questions, we used actual scenarios of households applying for services. And as a result, we updated the following. First of all, defining children as the standard under age 18, rather than developing any other definition of that age group in any other way. So 18 it is. Mobile homes will not necessarily be a disqualifier because we do want to include them in the homeowner helper program, but it will require some additional research, insight, and understanding of that industry. We'll need to get information from the mobile home homeowner living in that home versus the lot rent lease agreement from the landowner to make sure that we have everything in place in regard to any claims of ownership of anything. So we need to get that cleared. We're also adding language to determine if there are additional names or homeowner on the homeowner deeds to ensure that they are included, that those people are included in the approval process. In the event that there's one person who does the application, but there are other people's names on the deed, we need to have clarity with that. We're tweaking the scoring process as well, and that will enable us to fairly prioritize the ranking of applications. And the rankings are based on the homeowner's windshield survey score and what locality they're in, and what their score was wherever they are. And number two, the unsafe, unhealthy emergency needs type of information that they need to provide to us. And number three, consideration of the demographics, considering the fact that someone may have a veteran status, somebody might be disabled, another household might be have elderly, and another household might have children in the home. So we have to take consideration of those demographics as well. And our next meeting will continue that conversation, and it is scheduled for September 24th at 4 o'clock at our temporary City Hall location on Nelson Street. Any questions about that? Thank you. That is it for boards and commissions. I don't have a report from Mayor Friedman, but I do know that when he returns, he'll be looking at filling some board vacancies. That's just an FYI for you to be thinking about that, and perhaps going to the websites to look at those boards and commissions that may have vacancies, to see if you have people that you wish to consider. Next, city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Three quick items that I'll bring to your attention. First, tomorrow morning, if all goes according to plan and the weather permits, the contractor should be pouring the slab at the Department of Social Services building. It's a monolithic pour. It'll take all day. And I have to say, I've learned a great deal about concrete and cement and the changes in that industry, which I'm not bragging about. It doesn't make me any more interesting, but there's a great deal of change in the way concrete mix are coming to the market. And that is that caused this week a lot of back and forth with the contractor, subcontractor, the design engineer. A lot of the times, if you continue to work the concrete, as it has been done in the past, as everyone is accustomed to who works as a mason or a former, for a pour of this size, you would often have cracking and actually cupping on the outside, just because the chemical mixture is different with this concrete than what everyone is used to. So I'm very happy to say that the team got together, including our partners in Rockbridge County and Buena Vista, to work on altering the design somewhat quickly, and that seems to be going well. And so that project is on pace, as I've updated you, for completion about August of next year. So that's consistent with the plan. And once that foundation or slab is poured, you should start to see a lot more vertical construction taking place. You can already see some steel in place on foundations, but things will start to go vertical fairly quickly here for that project. And we still have some contingency left in that project. We have spent a great deal of additional funds on site work, including the removal of dirt, bringing in extra fill, and removing rock that was on site. So we're not in any way in jeopardy of breaching the budget for this project. We still have contingency left. And now that we're going vertical, I'm more optimistic that any change orders from here will be more marginal rather than substantial. And we're hoping to have a joint meeting with Rockbridge County and Buena Vista. Kate Beard has asked you to save the date for October 30th. That's a fifth Thursday in that month. So all of us should be free, at least not obligated, for a Buena Vista or Lexington City Council meeting. So at that meeting, it might be possible, if it's early enough in the evening, that you would get a site tour if you're interested. Second, I wanted to bring to your attention that today I received an email from Spencer Suter, the county administrator, inviting city council as well as senior staff to a joint meeting later this month between the Board of Supervisors and the school board for Rockbridge County. That meeting is going to be on Wednesday, September 17th. You may just want to leave your calendar out. That's it. That meeting will be at 5 p.m. at the Maury River Middle School, and that is where an architect will be presenting to the Board of Supervisors as well as the Rockbridge County School Board concept plans and estimates for a joint facility that would be built at Rockbridge County High School. Of course, we'll be involved as a financial partner in anything that is built there. I'm learning a great deal about where those plans are, and I'll be sharing additional information with you tomorrow in your weekly report. But I encourage you to attend if you can, and we'll be providing you information if you can't come, because I think it's exciting and it's also expensive opportunity for us to look at adding gym space and recreational opportunities in our area. And then Kate Beard, as I mentioned earlier, has been working to schedule several meetings. And just a reminder, we're hoping to schedule, we've asked you to save the date, October 7th, to discuss the reassessment process. We've had some questions and comments about how that process works. Our reassessment process is going on right now. The consultants that we hired last year are starting to mobilize and starting to do that work of assessing valuations for various properties, which will be the tax digest upon which next year's taxes will be based. We'll provide more information about that work session as it approaches. We're also scheduling a joint work session with the Board of Education before your regularly scheduled City Council meeting on October 16th. And Kate Beard, as I mentioned, has asked you to save the date, I believe, for that October 30th joint meeting. That hasn't been set yet, but we're asking you to just save that date. What you'll notice we haven't scheduled yet is a stormwater work session, which we've committed to having. We haven't found the right date and time for that, but as you can tell, the next 60 or so days will be pretty busy with work sessions and joint meetings. That's my report, madam, and I have happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Tom, is there a preliminary agenda for the joint meeting on October 30?
No, not yet.
Okay. Just curious.
But the topics of conversation will be a status update on DSS. And the three entities have all expressed an interest in discussing recreation and a strategic plan for Raro.
Okay. I mean, because that came up in the last joint
That's right.
meeting. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm curious about the concrete. I'm curious about the change in materials of the concrete composition and why the recipe was changed, since it sounds like you've dived into this. And why you can't just order the old recipe.
So I think this is an industry-wide change. It's happening around the world. It's happening in the United States. But concrete and construction is a significant contributor to carbon dioxide emissions. And particularly concrete, I think, is responsible for some mind-boggling figure like 7 or 8% of emissions of carbon in the world. So there's industry pressure and regulations to try and change the recipe to reduce that impact on the environment and to reduce the impact on climate. These things are still, it's going to just require the change in the way concrete is mixed, depending on the application. You will have to put in more water in your concrete, which means you'll have to work it for a longer period of time. So normal trades operations are changing because all of a sudden what normally take you several hours to form, screed and work will take virtually all day. So that's what's happening tomorrow, just because it's wetter and it will take more time for that to be set.
Did the driving force behind the attempt to reduce impact on the climate forecast a savings or the reduction in the impact of concrete production? Said 7-8%, some mind-boggling figure like that. They're gonna knock a point off, 2 points.
Yeah. I'm not, I'll get back to you on that. I'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
One other question on the meeting on the 19th, where about the school concept plan for the school, for the high school. Is that a number that's been anticipated or budgeted on our side? I mean, or that will be something that it'll be a new number that we begin to look at in the future?
I'm trying to make sure I understand the question.
17.
The question was the meeting, I think that the meeting date, I think if I might have heard you incorrectly, but I think it was a different date. It's the joint meeting that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
the
with
one about the high school.
the high school.
Yeah.
So there's no budget impact for FY 26. We have budgeted, I think, in the CIP, we have a placeholder for
Okay.
Rockbridge County High School expenses next year in FY 27. I think these are additional expenditures that are under consideration from Rockbridge County. And so there will be budget impacts, but not in this fiscal year.
Thank you. Thank you
think-
for clarifying my question.
I mean, gym space has always been in the CIP, that in FY 27, that they would be building 2 gyms. That's been there in the CIP for years and years, that the county school board has been approving. And so our share we've seen coming if the costs are significantly more, but I feel like they've been telling us that, and it was going to be 6 million for a long time.
Our CIP that our share would be 900,000.
Okay. So, I mean, but the issue has been that in FY 27, they were talking about concession stands, field houses, weight rooms, gym space,
Tennis courts.
lights. They were going to be tennis courts. They had about, well, they had many millions of dollars of athletic facility upgrades programmed in FY 27. And
Thank you. Can you remind me of the times again on the 17th and the 30th?
17th is at 5 p.m., September 17th, and that's at the Maury River Middle School. A meeting on the 30th has yet to be set. The location and time has yet to be set.
Thank you.
Attorney is on deck.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I don't really have a report this evening. I did reach out to try to get a contact with Brightspeed. As we know, they've changed their management company for their real estate to try to get a new name with whom I can communicate about getting the visitor center lease finished off. Just wanted to let you know that. But other than that, I don't really have a report this evening. Of course, happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right. Anyone? I'm glad you didn't have to travel up Interstate 81. Anytime you don't have to do that, it's a good day.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And yeah, the agenda looked like one where this was a good one to cover remotely. So.
Yeah. Good, good. And thank you for being available to us.
Oh, always. Yes, ma'am.
And since there are no questions for our city attorney, we have under new business, a couple of items to attend to. The first one in regard to the city school board reserve for future capital needs. Who will present that? Jen?
Good evening again. The school board reached out to me a few weeks back, asking me to come before you and ask that they be allowed to use $8,000 of their reserve for, which one was it, future capital needs. Yes. To make some improvements at the school board office. And the total reserves that they had have projected at the end of FY 25. I did not include on here, but it's around $1 million. And although I did just explain that they will have a surplus for FY 25, what'll end up happening essentially is that if this request is approved tonight, they'll go ahead and order the cabinets, and then they'll replenish that reserve fund when I do the FY 25 closeout. Again, if council approves. So my request tonight is to approve their request to appropriate $8,000 from the future capital needs reserves in FY 26. And our city attorney has advised that it's best to do that via resolution, which was attached in the packet.
Okay. Before we start that, any questions about that to Jen or the city manager? Okay. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2025-11, which is a resolution authorizing the appropriation of funds from the Lexington City School Board's reserves for future capital needs in the amount of roughly $8,000.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Being no further discussion, we need a roll call vote. Ms. Strawn?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Sigler?
Aye.
Mr. Driscoll?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
And I vote aye, and this motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And the next item?
Me again?
Uh-huh.
So this next item, we haven't done this in several years, but we have, was it 57 accounts in the utility fund that are severely past due, and we don't believe that at this point we could expect to get paid unless perhaps we pursue legal action, which would likely be more expensive than the money we're trying to recover. So we are asking to write off as bad debt $25,505.03. And we split out which fiscal years those amounts were from on the memo. And you'll notice in FY 2020, that's where we have a very large amount. And that is due two major contributors. The first being it was COVID. And so we allowed our customers to have a longer grace period. And secondly, there were two hotels that changed ownership during that time. And the prior owner's bill was outstanding for the close. And so the city was unable to collect from the new owner.
Just, you said we didn't pursue legal action. Is that customary? That, I mean, I thought that there's a whole industry of like debt collections and here, you know, the city taxpayers are owed $25,000 from people that did business here and we're picking up the tab for them not paying their bill and we didn't pursue legal action. I mean, is there any instance we would ever pursue legal action? I mean,
So
I don't
it's a
know.
legal question, but I think the answer is yes. There would be instances where we would pursue it. I think if you see, and just for a second, exclude FY 20 from your view, and you look at FY 21 and FY 22, where we have 17 customers, a grand total of $4,058.31. To Jen's point, it doesn't make business sense to pursue legal action on those. And certainly the same for FY 22. I think the outlier really is FY 20, where we have these accounts that because of the pandemic, I would submit that I think our legal position wouldn't be as strong in FY 20 because of the pandemic. And I think what we're going to try and do is get into the routine of cleaning the books of bad debt annually, so that we will do this for, say, FY 23 and FY 24 in the near future. So this doesn't build up as a lag and a larger figure. But it is customary to write off, several $1,000s of bad utility debt on an annual basis.
What if any benefit is there of that to the city? Like, I mean, it's, the city doesn't pay, like, you don't pay taxes.
Well, no, there's no tax benefit. The benefit is because the auditors will point out every year that we're carrying debt that we're not collecting, obligations that are owed to us.
So, like, help with like a credit rating or something like that.
Actually, it doesn't do that. I mean, I wish it would do that. It's really more of a
Just keeps the auditors and the
accounting
finance people
happy is what it
It does. It's
Yeah.
a maintenance
It's
company.
very common, for auditors to recommend eliminating or waiving this type of debt, particularly when you get to be 5 years old, because it's really uncollectible at that point.
And then one last question. Are there any active accounts that of these customers, like, is anybody still using services that has bad debt?
No.
Okay.
Well, and I will reconfirm that with Stephanie in Public Works, but I believe the answer is no.
And we collect a deposit from customers, right?
We do, yes.
So they kind of skipped town. We at least kept their deposit. And in theory, as I understand, I thought it was that renters cannot set up utilities in their name without the property owner kind of being a part of it. And so just kind of clarification, does that mean that the property owner has some shared responsibility for their renter? And if so, am I to understand that this isn't necessarily, 13 customers that happen to rent for a year or two, and then they left and they're gone and we can't find them. But does it mean that the property owner is also gone, or is the property owner still here? Because the way that our utilities are, a renter cannot set up utilities without the property owner's help.
Correct.
I-
And that's an excellent question that I will
Again,
look
I mean,
into.
it was surprising to me. I hadn't seen this before from the city.
Well, if there's any hesitation, council, you do not have to take this action this evening. We've not had this debt collected from FY20 through this evening, and we can wait another 2 weeks if.
I'm not intending to hold it up. I'll make the motion to do this. I'm just intrigued by this, that we don't have a mechanism in place to do this, especially since the landlord, the property owner, has to backstop in theory, the renter.
I'd prefer to table it until we get some answers on some of these and maybe take it up at the next meeting. So like the question you asked, like, does the property owner have any shared responsibility? I think is a valid question. And then also are there any active accounts? Any active accounts of people that are still using the services that are behind that we can.
I can tell you from the Blue Ridge Resource Authority, if an account is out 90 days past due, they're cut off. They cannot take stuff for them.
That makes sense, and that's probably I think
Right.
I think David's question is a little bit more relevant.
Yeah. I'm just shared some information of other operations of the authority.
Thank you. If it's council's pleasure to table this, absolutely. We'll get additional information, bring it back.
But just real
A change. I mean, we still need to do this housekeeping and raise the step. We're not going to go back and collect the 2020 amount, which is really the only one of consequence, because in the city attorney had just said it's outstanding over 5 years. You're not going to be able to go back and collect that. So I think the questions are interesting. I think we are all hoping there's a process in place so that we don't run into this, particularly with the hotels. I don't know how they sold it without paying it, but I see no reason to hold up approving this.
Well,
No, that was kind of this is an accounting thing. We're not, that was kind of like why I was not going to hold it up. I've said my piece, and I respect that probably our auditors, our finance director would like to get this off our books, and we maybe should, and then we try to answer the questions going forward, maybe. And maybe I'm off base, maybe it's a simple answer to my question.
information, I'd probably vote yes, but I'm not vote no because I just
I understand.
Let me give you my perspective from property management. Number one, if you have bad debt, then for the auditor coming in, they want to see that cleaned up. If you feel that you're not going to get that collected, it just cleans up the books a little bit. So I'm sure the city is being encouraged to get that out of the way, especially for as long as it's been sitting there. So another piece of it is that possibly there could be a future discussion about hiring a collection company to do those collections for us, so that it would free you up to do other things. Because chasing people to get your money back it's a never ending process. So even though you have to pay them a percentage of what's collected, at least you're getting something back. The other piece of this is that my tenants are required to pay their own gas bill. And if they leave the property not paying their gas bill, then it does not fall back on us at all as the owner. They will continue trying to collect from that person who's left them holding that amount, but it does not fall back on the property at all. But I don't know if that works with the city water services or not, but that's how the gas company operates. So I don't see the need in holding this up either, because those are things that we can talk about for the future, what we're going to do moving forward. But to get this cleaned up, our auditors probably want this taken care of now. That helps any.
I move to approve resolution 2025-12, a resolution of the Lexington City Council authorizing writing off bad debt in the utility fund in fiscal year 2025.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? If not, we'll have a roll call vote. Ms. Strawn?
Aye.
Mr. Sigler?
Aye.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Driscoll?
Aye.
Mr. Betts?
Nay.
I vote aye. So we have 5, 4, and 1 against. Thank you for the math. So it was not unanimous, but it does pass.
Thank you.
Property owners are liable.
Okay. So we don't have a closed meeting schedule, so hooray for that as well. And the time is 8:14. Is there any other business that we need to address before we adjourn? Okay. 8:14, the meeting is adjourned.
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
See, turning water.
We're out of here before